Yes, this is the cuisi right here. This is the indigenous instrument from the world's tallest coastal mountain, which is the Sierra Nevada in present-day Colombia. And it's the instrument that keeps the main melodies in the album. It's all influenced by the melodies in this instrument, every composition. And this instrument is ancient, since time immemorial. It's made out of charcoal and wax. The mouthpiece is traditionally the quill of a duck's feather, and the body is made out of a cactus. Up in the Sierra Nevada, there are 5 indigenous nations that have played this instrument for a long time. The Kogi, Ika, Wiwa, Cancuamo, Arahuaco.
Beny has been performing and researching the music of Colombia for a long time and conducted a major research project on the tambor alegre, an Afro-Colombian instrument with origins in West and Central Africa.
This is the tambor alegre right here, and it comes from the palenques, which are the communities that were set up by people who fled the sites of slavery. During colonization, they set up their own free communities known as palenques. In places like Brazil, they're known as quilombos. In the Caribbean or the British Islands, they're known as maroon communities. And that's where this instrument comes from, but the origins are Central Africa.
The original works in the album incorporate the traditional Afro-Indigenous Colombian instrumentation with other instruments and musical ideas. Here, Beny breaks down how all of these elements come together in his compositions, which he describes as Afro-Indigenous Colombian music from a conscious inner city perspective.
These instruments, the indigenous flutes, the tani, and the drums, came together in the 16th century. So it's not something that was recently put together. It's something that developed throughout many years of, sharing and cross-cultural understanding, cross-cultural exchange. So that is the ensemble that we know now as música de gaita, which is hundreds of years old already together. But also coming up in Toronto, working and living in Jane and Finch, I've been influenced by the inner city and all the sounds from the inner city. So that is the perspective that I'm approaching this music with.
One dish, there never could be world peace if all the war on the soil does not cease, but instead we're quick to cock it and squeeze. Yes, the field is the dish we must peacefully shield. If we damage the whole field, it won't yield earth that yield. Let's never forget the elements of hip-hop follow treaties. That history repeats itself, our story is a vineyard. It's time to mend the bond between the new school and the old, and so the story of a new tradition will be told. Systemic forces tell us to dig more oil and gold, but indigenous worldview tells us to dig no more.
Beny closes the interview by sharing why these instruments and traditions are important to him.
Because they're symbols of resistance, they're symbols of resilience. The fact that they're still here, they've survived colonization, slavery, modernization, civil wars, and that's why they're important to me. Not in the sense that I perform them because they're traditions and instruments that should be rescued. Many people see it that way, but I see it the opposite. I see it as these instruments rescued me.